How we doing today? It's James from the GorillaSquadCast, and we have a returning special guest, also known as Mr. Elijah Lobotomy. Elijah Illustrates, illustrious cattle prod.
That's right.
Yeah. So tell the folks what you're about for a quick second there.
Recently divorced from my tonsils and my uvula, and having the throat restructured. I'm recovering from surgery, major throat surgery that was done on the 13th. So perfect timing in the midst of the holidays.
So I just wanted to get into here. I want to thank you for being here today. Just real quick before we get started here. Okay, so to begin with, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. And I know everybody wants to talk about that. So here we are. Okay, we decided, we were going to talk about it on our video chat, but then I was like, wait, I have to do a podcast tonight. I was like, this is perfect. So we're here right now. We're going to talk about No Way Home and what we thought about it. We are in our mid-20s, so we experienced the first 3 Spider-Man movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Andrew Garfield movies. So I'd love to just jump right into this. So Eli, since you are my special guest today, I'd like to ask you, what was your favorite part of No Way Home?
That's a loaded questions, and I should say, spoilers ahead for those of you that haven't watched Spider-Man No Way Home. Please see it. Please avoid all spoilers if you can. Don't end up like James here, who had it spoiled before he watched the movie. Yeah. I don't know how much you had spoiled, but I know you had some of it spoiled. So if you can, avoid it. And I know there's a lot of people that love to spoil the fun. So if you get it spoiled, at least you've tried. My favorite scene has got to be just having the 2 Spider-Mans kind of just introduced after all these years, having Andrew Garfield and then having Tobey Maguire be brought back in. It's a long movie. It's over 2.5 hours long, which is totally fine. But for a long movie like that, it's hard to keep audiences captivated. And as great as it was seeing the villains, having those older Spider-Mans come back in after it was already heavily implied, and at that point I didn't know if it was confirmed or not that they would be in the movie. Seeing them actually in the movie and the way they interacted with Tom Holland, and this might be a cop-out, but I guess the scenes with all of them together, it really brought me back to feeling like a kid again. I'm watching it with my friend Brad. Shout out, Brad.
Shout out.
And, dude, I just remarked out loud, I was like, man, this is so cool. And I felt like a kid. Like a kid remarking to his dad that, like, he's so excited about what he's watching on the TV. And his dad stoically just scratching his chin and just drinking seltzer and hanging out. So that's what it felt like for me. What was your favorite scene?
I'm just thinking about the father scratching the chin. That's very specific. I don't know what's going on, but I wanted to also, seriously, between nostalgia and the feeling of like satisfaction when it came to Andrew Garfield kind of concluding that one moment from the second Amazing Spider-Man where I think Gwen died.
Yes,
and he kind of came full circle. And honestly, despite what some people may think, I loved Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man more so than Tobey. I know it's a hot take, but
wow.
I did listen. If those movies had J. Jonah Jameson, it would have been perfect, because I feel like Andrew is the best Spider-Man. But from beginning to end, it really picked up right after Far From Home, the ending of that with Mysterio, with Spider-Man's identity. And he kind of revealed it to everybody. For those who don't know, if you don't know that, why the fuck you listening to this? But anyway, so I was like on top of this. I wish I saw it when it released. I gotta say, my favorite part was no doubt between Andrew's redemption and also Octavius's redemption at the end, when the other villains knocked his ass out, when he was cured of his issues, and he fell off that building. Or out of the building into like the water or whatever. I'm like, I know he's coming back. And right when they needed him, that man came through, bro. And there's the redemption for Otto Octavius will too. So I just have to say that though, between those two, I can't decide one.
In speaking with that too, and you're absolutely right. Just the redemption of Octavius, and even him trying to like pull a switcheroo at the end, acting like he was teaming up the villains again after he already turned good, then switching around, be like, nah. I was so blown away at Green Goblin. I mean, it was already amazing, already amazing from like the previous trilogy, but like the way after all these years, because I thought everyone was really good, but the way that specifically, his character progressed in this film and just kind of showed itself. And there were so many domineering characters in the movie, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle, kind of like Lizard Dockman was.
Lizard Dockman.
Amphibians often go off on their own, and man, just like I'm Green Goblin just blew it away, man. He was just the fact that he could incorporate himself so amazingly in a new series of films, modern day, after so many years. What's it been, like 20 years?
Oh, literally,
and
yeah.
I thought his performance, like I know a lot of the actors did an amazing job, but I was true the one character that really, really blew me away with their solo performance was I'm trying to blank on the actor's name, for the Green Goblin.
Oh, Willem Dafoe. You just said it earlier. You said William Dafoe.
I did. And Will.i.am Dafoe is an amazing actor.
I got that boom boom pow.
He got that. And he actually he does a lot of his own stunts. He loves to do stunts. He loves
does he really? Oh shit! I didn't know that.
And he's not exactly a young man either, so that says a lot about his commitment to his role. And I thought, as far as the villain goes too, he didn't have a lot of crazy scenes, but the scenes he did have were pretty much all impactful. I mean, he did kind of kill Aunt May.
Yeah, that was pretty fucked. I can't lie, but I realized that I don't know if Uncle Ben was even a character in the original the new Spider-Mans, like Tom Holland. I don't even remember at this point. I don't know if he was even mentioned ever once. But I know
Uncle was never really a character, or he may have been no, I don't think he's ever been mentioned either. I cannot think of the time that she was like, yeah, Uncle Ben.
Yeah, I don't remember either. So I think like they went with a different approach on that, which I do appreciate because, Spider-Man having the same origin story all the time, and you keep rebooting it, which was what Sony was doing for a while. It didn't make any sense. I remember when Spider-Man 4 got canceled, which was going to have Tobey Maguire, and then like literally 2 years later, Amazing Spider-Man came. And I was like, who the fuck is this? And at the time, of course, but then as I watched it, I was like, actually, I really like this guy. But then he got short-sighted. He only got 2 movies instead of a trilogy. He was supposed to... What's funny is there's a thing, right? Spider-Man 4 was supposed to be about the Sinister Six. And then Amazing Spider-Man 3, which never happened, was also supposed to be about the Sinister Six. So it's like the Sinister Six were like this cursed group. And then they teased in the last Venom movie, if anybody saw that, which I did. I fucking Venom, Let There Be Carnage at the end. Venom and Eddie Brock get teleported to the other dimension. And then they see Peter Parker, Spider-Man on the TV, and then apparently in the post-credits of No Way Home, they go back to their universe, but then like a small piece of Venom remains. And I was like, dude...
To be honest, that's a big gripe I had with the movie, because I really enjoyed Let There Be Carnage too, and seeing that post-credit scene just really, it knocked me back. I was like, okay, we already know that we're going to see villains from the other movies show up, and it's heavily implied that the Spider-Man's going to show up, but now you're telling me Venom's going to be in this film too? What? Yeah. And after seeing the post-credit scene for Let There Be Carnage, and Venom sees him and then licks the screen, it's implied that like through rules of multiverse, because there was technically a Venom symbiote in Spider-Man 3 from when Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man, that's how this Venom from this new trilogy knows about Spider-Man, and it was just implied he was going to be hunting him. And yet I thought that was an incredibly wasteful move, and I understand it's different studios, but I just don't appreciate there's a post-credit scene they're teasing him showing up, and then the whole movie I'm like, when's Venom going to show up? When's Venom going to show up? And then it's in a post-credit scene where all he's getting is a weak rundown of the major events of Marvel, and then he gets sent back. I was pissed, dude. I'm like, that's not even... If that's the route you were gonna go, you shouldn't have even teased him being in the movies. Like, not to be a spoiled brat, and there's not to be like spiteful, but why even tease a big character arriving if you're not gonna, use him?
No, I absolutely agree with that. But that being said, I understand it because Sony is trying to. There's a reason that Tom Holland got everybody forgot who his Spider-Man is, right? So as a consequence of Doctor Strange's spell and then reversed, etc., etc. The thing was like, I get it because I think Sony was like, basically this whole movie is like a way to show a proper like conclusion to like the two other Spider-Man, I guess, while also tying it in with the modern one, but also like making sure that like the future of Spider-Man is going to be like a completely separate thing for the MCU. It's going to be like Sony's like Spider-Man. Going back to my point to kind of round it off, the whole Sinister Six thing, there's 5 villains of the Sinister Six. The only one they were missing is Venom. So they still haven't technically truly accomplished the Sinister Six in film form, but they got much further than they ever did.
I was going to say, do you know that they also teased it at the end of, it wasn't this movie, but it was the previous Spider-Man movie in a post-credit scene. They had Vulture meet up with another villain, and they were in a jail talking about how a bunch of people wanted to kind of gang up on Spider-Man. And again, heavily implying Sinister Six vibes, but then that never really followed up because then they went with this whole different plot with No Way Home, and which I get why they did. I totally, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. But in addition to what you're talking about with the Sinister Six kind of not really being fulfilled, the fact that he was teased at the end of like one of the previous movies in the new continuity, and now that Spider-Man is forgotten, and the villains that teased it are technically, I don't know how this works with the Sony deal because Marvel characters are so kind of like all over the place with who owns what, but it looks like those characters, I don't know if they're attached to Spider-Man or if Marvel owns them, so I'd be curious to see if they're actually going to be able to do a Sinister Six in Sony with Vulture and all these guys, or if those are technically Marvel properties.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't really know the technicalities, just like there was when Fox was still owning X-Men, but now that Disney/Marvel owns the X-Men again, which to me is exciting because the way they've handled the MCU for, I guess, a decade now and a decade and a half.
Yeah, like 2008 on.
Dude, I mean, from the beginning to the end, there was only like one movie or two that weren't great, but like all of it's been pretty consistent and just good, and then it ties into the rest of it. It's like this really long cinematic journey that like superhero fans have been on, and you just like tune into these things, and it's all connected, the references and all that stuff, and it makes sense, and it's like, damn, it's literally like the comic book universe, but film form. And that's an incredible feat on its own. I went to film school for a little while, and I plan on going back. But, man, and the reason I'm saying this is because the amount of, like, and there's multiple directors, right? The amount of attention to detail you have to have, and you have to, like, if you want to direct a Marvel Cinematic Universe show or movie, you need to be aware of what's going on in the universe that other, like, directors have and writers have created before you even got on board. And like that's to me is just so impressive because you have to really know your shit. You really have to like, and this is like since 2008, so a long time, and you have to know a lot of things to even try to get in there and start doing that, like continuing it. I mean, just looking at that process is it's such a continuity thing. But moving on, what I wanted to also say was, what was your opinion on kind of the way the two other Spider-Man venture? Did you expect it to be like together or were like more spaced out?
I really didn't know what to expect with that, and I love the simplicity of it. I love that they're teasing the Doctor Strange magic with opening up the portals, and they're like, okay, I really wish we could see Peter, and then you see what we assume to be is our Peter Parker in Tom Holland. But then it's Andrew Garfield, and it's like, whoa, that was crazy, whoa. And then it's, okay, well, let's just keep doing it. And then it's Tobey Maguire. And I loved the simplicity.
Yeah, he just steps out, and like he's not even in his suit. He just walks over. He's like, hey.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say real quick, not to interrupt, I just wanted to add that my excitement, I mean, I already knew some of the, like, I knew that there were leaks regarding, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being in it, and Andrew Garfield going on, like, Jimmy Fallon and being like, I'm not in the fucking movie. Like, and then Tobey Maguire not even commenting on anything, and he's like, nope, I am not answering. And it was just so funny, and then, like, this was all, like, part of the, in a way, it's kind of like reverse marketing, right? Where it's like it's not marketing from your own budget. It's more like you're still teasing like this stuff as an actor, and you're like going on Jimmy Fallon, and all you're doing is promoting more interest in it because you're like, well, why the fuck is Andrew Garfield here right now? Like, what's going on?
It speaks a lot to like spoiler culture and how him being on was an attempt at damage control. So, like you're talking about, promoting the film by appearing, but also trying to somewhat make it seem like he's not in the film. And then when he does appear, it's that much more exciting.
That was exactly it. Pretty much, at that point, it was still rumors, and then it got ruined for me. Because you mentioned that earlier, so I want to wrap that up. But, so what happened was, I was just on YouTube. So I'll go in there, and I'll just scroll through the first thing that pops up, which is usually the like suggested tab. And the problem with that is that like it doesn't care about like about spoilers because it doesn't know it's an algorithm. So, and shitheads on YouTube of course post shit and then it gets recommended. It just sucks. So like apparently somebody recorded, there was a video, and like how the thumbnails on YouTube mobile, if kind of automatically play like the video.
Yeah.
So that was an instance where that sucked because like it immediately, like while I was scrolling, started playing, like, and it showed the scene of like Toby and Andrew Garfield kind of like talking to each other, and like it was obviously in the movie and some dickhead recorded it in the theater, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's cool that they're in the movie, but now I like the speculation is gone, the surprise is ruined, and it was just in my suggested. It wasn't like I looked it up.
That's the same way Angry Joe got it spoiled. If you watch the Angry Joe show on YouTube. Okay, so he, I was watching his video where they were talking about No Way Home, and the same exact way it happened to you. He actually got hit with 2 different recommended videos that were spoilers. And, this speaks to like, I don't really understand the idea behind spoiling something like that. To me, it's not fun to have something spoiled, and therefore I don't really find any joy in spoiling it. Like if we're talking about No Way Home, like actually our friend Brandon, he does not know what happens in No Way Home, and neither one of us were really hyped about the idea of spoiling for him. It's not really I don't know, there's something a little sadistic about, and maybe sadistic is a strong term, but I correlate it to the idea of somebody's immensely happy to experience something and you want to enjoy ruining that for them. It's odd. It's a very weird mindset. But when I was in the theater, I've never seen so many like flash photos of the screen before.
Oh, was that happening when you were there?
It was happening, yeah. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And you almost want to like run over and like smash the person.
You almost want to run over these people. Bring the Tacoma in.
Well, the thing is, it's literally like, I'm thinking about, okay, that person took a flash photo. What are they about to do? They're about to put it on their Snapchat, their Instagram, whatever. And it's like, okay, maybe some people don't mind that. But then what about like they're a casual friend that just kind of is scrolling through their feed and then they see their story and it has a spoiler on it and then their day's ruined. I guess you could also speak to accidentally spoiling something. Like, I waited a long ass time to watch Squid Game. I probably watched it like a month later, so maybe this isn't a fair comparison as opposed to like a few days after Spider-Man coming out. But I kept recording a bunch of videos of Squid Game and laughing and reacting to certain scenes. Not that scenes where people are getting killed. There was like, okay, this is a spoiler for Squid Game, but there's a scene at the end where the guy, the main character. Have you seen Squid Game?
You know what? I haven't, and I don't plan on it. So go ahead and spoil away.
Okay, good. I was like, interrupt the spoilers. Hold on a second.
I'm probably gonna forget all of this.
It's an interesting ride because it's very much tying into the idea of like children's games and then people kind of competing to win and they'll win a massive cash prize, but in the process they don't know that their lives are on the line until the games start. So it's a vicious kind of reveal, and it's an interesting concept. Like they start off with red light, green light, and then the people that are still moving when they say red light end up getting shot. And then
Jesus Christ.
and speaking to how there were certain scenes that were funny, the voice actors, I listened to it dubbed, which shame on me. it's not a show where it's originally, spoken in English, but I watched it with the dub. Shame on me. And that was funny alone because there was a lot of over-the-top scenes, a lot of over-the-top, like, acting when it came to that. So that was obnoxious.
Overacting, yeah. Also, how dare you? How dare you listen to dubbed?
No, I don't know.
I'm just fucking with. I do not give a flying fuck. I'm not one of those people, but it's funny.
And I'm like, dude, I don't care. I'll watch it whatever way I want to. And at the very end, there's a scene where the main character calls up this evil organization, the organization that basically funds this project. And he's like, hello, just so you know, I'm a human, I'm not a horse. And it's also very intense the way he says it. He's like, I'm not a horse. And it's I'm recording this laughing, and I'm posting on TikTok and Snapchat. Not TikTok, I was posting on Snapchat, and like realizing that I'm maybe, I'm spoiling it in a way. But in my defense, I waited a month. So I guess what I'm getting at is some people can accidentally spoil things. I think it's just being mindful of when releases happen, giving it a lot of time before you post it on social media.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. And that shit always ruins it. And that's the only thing I like, not only social media, but just like we are so blessed to live in a time where we can connect with each other so easily and learn practically anything and everything. The internet, Google, in the palm of our hands. I mean, dude, a homeless person can afford a cell phone because they have access to you can buy a fucking $20 phone at Walmart and you have access to the internet if you just go to a place that has Wi-Fi. I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, and it's just mind-blowing. You have all these, and I'm completely diverging from topic, but I want one final subject. Give me your opinion on being something of a scientist yourself. Dr. Elijah.
Thank you. It's Doctor. Yes, I've been knighted. Well, you see, being a scientist, it comes with great responsibility, and I like to experiment with my genes quite a bit. I went to a gene cesspool rally at DC, and everyone was just sort of running around with syringes, and I thought to myself, it's okay, I got this.
Are you talking about the Capitol riots?
Yes, actually, Capitol riots. I misunderstood what was happening. You see, I thought we were there as a convention to discuss science. That was not the situation at all. Turns out there was something else going on. By the way, everyone wear your mask. Omicron spreading. Let me tell you, if there's a Decepticon that is now a virus, that's a danger to all of us. So just be safe out there. I found a Domino's pizza today, and shout out Domino's.
Oh,
and
shit.
The woman
I just want to interject for 2.5 seconds. Crazy you said that, because two things. I'm looking at this playlist called Lo-Fi House, Spotify, and number 7 in the track list is Far From Home, but it's just a song. Which is already crazy enough. But then the second thing is my girl ordered Domino's just now.
I'll tell you what, I hope you don't end up having the person who gives you the box end up coughing, because that's what was happening to me. This woman kept coughing up before grabbing my gift card, before grabbing my box. I thought, I don't need to eat.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm good.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe you are good. Okay, but I can agree with you. I had, first of all, DoorDash. I use DoorDash, but I'm going to stop. I pretty much have stopped. Because that is the worst food delivery app I have ever experienced. And let me tell you why, okay? Because I have a good rating on there as a customer. But honestly, there has been multiple times where the driver has intentionally stolen my food. And I have this on record because if you ask like DoorDash, not that they can disclose this information, but I'm going to for you. I have 15 open cases on people stealing my fucking food and not dropping it off.
15?
Yeah, specifically here in North Carolina, like way worse than up in like Naugatuck, which I can't believe I'm saying because Naugatuck is a shithole. But honestly, the fact this has happened more here than anywhere else is really upsetting. Now, so point being, two things. First thing, at the end of No Way Home, when nobody knows him, he gets an apartment on his own and he makes his own suit. I thought that was great. I was like, dude, he's been through all this, and only he knows about these things. Nobody else knows. And it's crazy because it's like this perfect spot for start this whole new trilogy, you know, as Spider-Man. So he could really, like, before he was just like a Marvel deal, you know, to be in the Avengers. But he slowly, like, built himself to be, like, the next Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, solo Spider-Man. Like, so I'm really excited to see where that goes. I like his new suit. It's like a bright blue, bright red. And, you know, I just want to know what you think about all that.
I think, you know, I digress my point from earlier. I know that I was complaining about, you know, Tom Hardy not being in the film and this and that. But if there's any chance that maybe in the Sonyverse we could see Spider-Man and Tom Holland and Tom Hardy, which I think they will. That would be great. So and now that he's cleared up past being a Marvel property, I suppose that could happen. So that is something nice to come out of Sony. Ideally, I'd like Marvel to own all their properties back. And I think Sony eventually will give the rights back.
I don't know, maybe, but they're making a fuckload of money. You know that Disney/Marvel definitely wants Spider-Man. But they can't have him, which is what Sony's doing. They're being smart. They're like, hell no, we make a shitload of money with Spider-Man. Why the fuck would we give it to you? So
it's funny though, is like when Fox Studios refused to sell the rights of the characters, Marvel came back and bought their entire studio.
Remember when Fox was like under their contract, they had to release like one X-Men or specifically Fantastic Four movie every like few years or something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, their contract would expire. And then they made those first two Fantastic Fours from forever ago, and they were both ass. And then they made that reboot that was supposed to be like the modern take on the Fantastic Four, and that sucked too, really, really bad. So then they didn't bring it back at all. And then so I was like, the mistreatment, bro. Like the only series that's been mostly good from that whole like X-Men stuff and Fantastic Four stuff was like what they did with X-Men 1 through 3, and then like Days of Future Past, and then Logan. Logan was spectacular.
Logan.
Yeah, and all I gotta say is like after all that, basically what I'm trying to say is I'm just excited, and I agree with you. I'm excited to see the future of what they do with Spider-Man and Venom and all that stuff, you know, within their own universe. And I think that was a very brilliant way to like end their deal and still like move forward. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So. I do want to ask you on this though. You know, we're so used to seeing post-credit scenes with these movies, and at the end of Spider-Man, of course, we had the Tom Hardy one, and you know that was what it was. But then we also got a look at Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, and instead of it being, it was a trailer. I thought that was such an odd take.
It's different. And I'm excited, personally. I know that movie's going to be crazy as hell. And I bet you we're going to see a lot of, like, cameos and et cetera, et cetera. And it's just going to be a crazy movie. And I'm very excited. I've always loved Doctor Strange. I always thought he was dope as hell.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my new favorite Marvel heroes. I never heard of him when, like, I used to read comics. But once he was in the MCU, man, it was just... Yeah, it was crazy. I heard a little thing that you might have a little teaser for. You know, it's funny we're talking about post-credit scenes, which leads me to my next point. This is the post-credit scene. Okay, so I want you to discuss a little bit of teasing information about the next chapter of James Watanabe. Before you get started, I also want to say, please go check out
the Oracle of Player James Watanabe.
Exactly, the Oracle of Player James Watanabe. Now you're thinking, oh, James Hodson. No, this is a different man. Okay, James Watanabe, he's a warrior at heart, and honestly, he has the face that only a mother could love. Okay, so...
Look at the mugshot. I have a photo of him up on the episode. Shout out ElijahIllustrates podcast.
Shout out ElijahIllustrates podcast. Again, I thank you for being here. And so now that we've discussed this, I want you to lead the way into the next chapter of James Watanabe versus a certain James Hodson.
Well, one could argue that when your name is James, there's not a lot of territory for another James. And when situations arise like that, when you're player James Watanabe and you have an oversized head from birth, you tend to listen to things. Tend to get a nice pair of headphones. Sony noise cancellation, excuse me, WHX2.
Oh my God,
not
this joke. I remember this. Good God.
he listens to music and he listens to podcasts and he comes across like this new one. He's like, what is this? What is this? The GorillaSquadCast. He's like, whoa, I want to be a gorilla. I watched King Kong when I was a kid. So player James Watanabe listens to his new favorite podcaster until he hears the words, "Hi, I'm James." And this lit a fire underneath player James. Because as I mentioned, when your name is James, there's not any territory where two different James could stand together. Poof.
And so fast forward about 2.5 weeks, and so I have to say,
and I can record it. I recorded this, so my throat's doing good. But yeah, in due time.
I appreciate you being here today, Mr. Open Sesame. No, Mr. Elijah Illustrates podcast, also known as my good friend Eddie, which no Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Shout out your podcast. You do some very creative and fun things on there. I like your perspectives on a lot of things, and I think that I felt we should do a remake. And by we I mean me, because I'm gonna just record it and do it myself. I'm gonna record your very first episode and do it myself. You're like, hey, this is gonna be the direction. Okay. Hi, this is Sourstone. Thank you for listening to the Sourstone podcast. I'm your host, Eli Legowski. I just want to thank you for tuning in today, and I just we're dealing with COVID, so I just want to talk about that, and I just want to
I hate that because that's true. Is that on?
Yeah. All right. So, Mr. Eli, Elijah Illustrates podcast, also known as Eli, I'd like to thank you for being here on the GorillaSquadCast. I want to add that you are the driving force for me to drag my ass up out of the mud and keep this shit going. I actually, I had a bit of a hiatus for a while on my streaming podcast. Big things are coming. We're gonna keep it moving. Big podcast changes, the technical errors I've dealt with, webcam, 4K webcam, and my microphone I'm still using. And so we're just gonna keep doing our thing. I'm gonna try to be more present on streaming. That's been an issue for me because I work a full-time job, plus I do podcasting. But I want to make sure I'm more present online. We're just gonna keep pushing until we have a higher presence. And I'm also going to be hiring a logo designer pretty soon. So, Mr. Eli, again, final time. Appreciate your time. Thank you for stopping in and discussing Spider-Man No Way Home and the future of James Watanabe.
Very excited to see the progression with your podcast, and you keep me motivated too. I haven't recorded anything in a long time, so it's nice to be back on here. So thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Of course. All right. To the folks at home or on the go, GorillaSquadCast, entire thing. You know what? You're a real one, okay? And I see that because I got statistics on Spotify, bitch.
It's interconnected universe. Looking forward to seeing as your interconnected universe kind of progresses here and introduces more and more characters and plot lines and everything like that.
Oh, thank you. I hope that you have checked out My Name James, which is a written episodic thing. I do those like once a month. So let me know what your thoughts are, Mr. Elijah Illustrates podcast.
Sure, but is your name actually James?
Monkey.
Wow.
All right, see you later.
All right.